Greetings. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is the Book Report. There are a handful of books that Americans should not only read, but keep on hand. A family library. Once a very important custom in this country, we seem to have lost touch with the need for books, thus the reason for the Book Report. Now, one such book came out a very long time ago, but I'm finding that it is very relevant to today. Not only does it revisit the roots of our own culture and civilization, but it also explains why things were set up the way they were at the beginning of our republic, and why we lost touch with that, and why we are now in the midst of what I'm calling the Second American Revolution. The book I'm speaking of is Democracy in America. It was written by the Frenchman Alix de Tocqueville, and it was first published in 1835. The edition I'm referring to came out in 2000 and 2002 by University of Chicago Press, but there are several different translations available. Some are from the 1800s, and some are just from a few years ago. All of them pretty much cover the text well, from my understanding. But let me go into what the book is all about. Mr. de Tocqueville was sent to the then very young United States to do a report on the prison system, but he took notes and traveled far and wide and learned as much as he could and observed as much as he could about this unique experiment known as the United States, a republic governed by the people. Now, when you want to learn something, it's often good to use a mirror. And there's no better mirror for a country than a foreigner who comes in with a very open mind and accurately reports what he sees and what he researches and what he finds out, and opinions based on what was obviously a very educated mind. Now, the book covers an awful lot more, of course, than just prisons. Mr. de Tocqueville also was very prophetic in the problems that were on the horizon, namely slavery. The section on race relations, frankly, is one of the more insightful things I've read, not only for the times of then, but the times of now, and I would urge readers to check this out. He talked about aristocracy, and if you compare his analysis then to what you're seeing now, you will learn, quite disturbingly, that the U.S. has become not only an aristocracy, but an oligarchy. Thus the reason for the rebellion we're seeing right now. A book like this is amazingly easy to read, considering it was originally written in French. But because it's been around so long and has been the subject of much analysis, well, it's been refined and made more exact. Frankly, I can't imagine a better book to read for the times we live in. When you do look at something like this historically, it's important to put certain things into context of the time, and to use it as a basis for analysis of what you're seeing now. A good command of American history is an absolute necessity for anyone who is a citizen of this country. And I don't care what anyone else says. When I run across someone who tells me, well, I don't want to know much about history, I don't know, then they're pretty much useless for anything else. Really. Someone who does not understand their past is certainly not going to understand their present and will have no comprehension of their future. There is no better book about early America that has ever been written. It's one of those books that you really should read and maybe refer to every so often. Much like a sacred text, whether you have a book that was a Bible or a Quran or something like that, people don't usually sit down and read those from beginning to end. They keep them around the house and they pull it up and grab a section and just read it. That's the sort of book this is. It's like a sacred text. And I think there are more quality quotes per paragraph than any other book I can think of offhand. If you're into making memes about the United States or its people or its history, or even the ills that we suffer from today, this is a great book for you. So those out there that love making memes, check this out. Now, because this book is somewhat in the public domain, you can get it just about anywhere for free. The best things in life are often free, and these days they can often be books. The best place to find this edition, which you can now access online, is archive.org, archive.org. Just enter Democracy in America, and you will find this particular edition. There's other editions from the 1800s you can compare it to. You can get the audiobook of earlier translations up on LibriVox, LibriVox.org. And there's also the Gutenberg Project. These are great places to get free books. We're in the age where America has to be literate again, has to be familiar with its background. For those of you out there who are actively taking part in what we're calling the Second American Revolution, led by the Trump administration, please get this book and read it as soon as you can. Because we're trying to restore the United States to something better. Better than what we've seen probably in 100 years. This book is a great guide. It's an archaeological unveiling of where we used to be and what we used to value. The part about government employees and how they should be compensated. Fascinating and very relevant. Again, the book that you must read if you are an American, and if you're a foreigner listening to me, and I know I have a growing overseas audience, if you want to learn about what the United States was supposed to be all about, grab this book. Again, doesn't cost anything if you know where to find it. Democracy in America by Alexis de Tocqueville, originally published in 1835. Several translations available. The one I'm referring to came out in hardcover in 2000 and softcover in 2002. The translators and the editors are Harvey Mansfield and Delba Winthrop. It was put out by University of Chicago Press and is readily available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online sources, and is, of course, available as an audiobook on Audible, and, of course, Kindle and other electronic book formats. No excuse not to read it. It is a long book. You're not going to get through this in an afternoon. It's about 600 to 700 pages, depending on the format you get it in. But it's worth having. Another sacred text for your sacred American home library. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share. Share with your friends, and be sure to really share with your enemies. I can be reached at feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. This podcast originates at Substack. My address there is aureliancolumn.substack.com. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and remember, never judge a book by its movie. Good day.